Welcome to the Jersey Barrier. Ryan here. Today we are going back to upstate New York, but a little further upstate and further west than before, so I guess western New York as well, but that's a debate for another time. A shout out to everyone in the comments on our first video about New York's numbering. Made this one for you all, and thank you. This one is kind of a sequel to that one, so check it out in the top right if you have not yet. Alright, so we are talking about I-90 here, of course a big transcontinental highway, Massachusetts to Washington. Looking in New York, it's a very important road, and it is the New York Thruway for most of its length in the state. Starting near Erie on the western side, it goes to or very close to cities of Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Rome, Utica, Amsterdam, Schenectady, and Albany. It ends up near Pittsfield, Massachusetts, but not quite there. The little segment from Albany to the Mass line is not the thruway, though, as it continues down I-87 towards Jersey and New York City. I feel like New York has got to get better with someone naming these cities. Yeah, well, anyways. A quick education on auxiliary interstate routes first. So we have our main highway here, floating in the Jersey Barrier void. We will call it I-90. Whoa, that's a big boy right there. Okay, so then we got this little road that goes up and curves left. There's no cardinal directions in the void, alright, so let's call that one 190. Alright, then we got this little loopy one over here, and we'll call that one 290. Sure, this looks good, whatever, but why does it look fine? So we have our parent route, of course, which is always 2 digits. In this case, it is I-90. The more prominent highways end in 0 or 5 to denote importance, length, or both. Then we will take 190 and 290 here. Auxiliary routes will always take the 2-digit number from the parent route and throw a number 1 through 9 in front of it. But how that number is chosen cannot just be done willy-nilly. Odd one over here, meaning an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, is for spurs or extensions. Like we saw in the void, the route just kind of went up, usually for connecting to a city a little ways off the parent route. And then over here we have even Steven, meaning 2, 4, 6, 8, for anything that connects back to the original highway, meaning that there should be 2 very distinct interchanges with the parent route. And yes, bypasses, beltways, and loops. So if you didn't know this, now you do, but be warned, there are instances all over the place where this doesn't hold true, and those instances are technically out of compliance. Alright. So, exiting the void and entering into the real world once again, we end up in Buffalo, New York. Buffalo's got a lot going on, especially when it comes to highways. I-90 doesn't get quite near downtown, but it is the route to the airport. Other than that, we see that the combination of 90, 190, and 290 make a type of beltway around Buffalo, which is great, definitely beneficial for a city of Buffalo's size. But 190 is also going way up out of the city to a hugely popular international border crossing the sister cities of Niagara Falls, New York, and Niagara Falls, Ontario. Okay, so 190 and 290, pretty good. I believe 290 is numbered wrong because it's numbered for a loop. It does complete the loop, so I don't know, gray area there, which we see all over the place, of course. What I am sure of, though, is how useless and non-compliant I-990 is. A spur of a spur that's already maybe numbered wrong? With that logic, it should be I-9290, a 4-digit interstate, but no, we're not going there. It should not be any kind of interstate. So, that brings us to the UB Expressway. That's what it should be. The University of Buffalo is right there. It can be a bypass of New York 263 if you really want a number, but I like this suggestion made by Mark Volpe 2305. So yeah, thank you guys for your comments on other New York video. We read every single one. So next stop on I-90 is Rochester. A lot going on here once again. I-490 is a great auxiliary loop, provides easily the fastest access to Rochester and Irondequoit from both directions. I-390 comes all the way up from I-86. We'll show that in a moment. And I-590 is pretty much uselessly dubbed an auxiliary route. It kind of completes the loop there, but that's not the most useful loop anyway. Here's 390, how far it actually goes. Definitely the longest current I-90 spur in New York. Back to Rochester, there's a very simple change to be made here. That's it. You can see north of 490, New York 590 is already there. Nothing changes except now everything is compliant. Rochester gets to keep its great beltway there. Although it is a little odd that the beltway is around a relatively unpopulous part of the city, as you can see kind of there from this far out satellite imagery. But it does provide easy access to the airport, so I do understand the point of that there. There you go on that one. And on to Syracuse. A familiar sight here on the Jersey barrier, it seems. So Syracuse has two major 2DIs running through it, I-90 and I-81. Each has a spur route, 690 and 481. Yeah, but we don't need to worry about 81 and 481. Just 90 and 690 right here. So 690 begins way outside of Syracuse in Van Buren, and combined with all those highways there, it does form a beltway around Syracuse. Maybe more accurately would be through Syracuse. As you can see, the university is south of all this section, but 690 is the way to get there, coming west at least. So let's bring back the old Prop 4 from our original video. Turn this into Business 90. Now this was just a step to quickly free up a spur for our numbering proposal in the southern tier. However, I would argue you could take this one step further and turn this into an odd digit spur route, say 590 or 990, taken for Rochester and Buffalo respectively. In any case, there's also an argument that it could connect back to 90, then it could be an even digit, like it is now. Either way is fine, honestly. This is more of a number preference situation over anything. There isn't any gross non-compliance going on in Cuse or any highways that really need to be addressed. But I like this one. Next on the line, we have Utica. Small city, getting more east in New York. Okay, so there's 90, but where is the spur here? You see, we got access to Rome and Speculator to the west and east, but oh my goodness. What in the exit ramp is this? Get that out of here. Yeah, well, that's pretty sad. We're zoomed in. This is pretty much the entire route right here. And you can see those parking lots on the north end. Yeah, not good. So why do we have 10 lanes here? This has got to be the most over-engineered interchange I've ever seen. On the flip side, I bet there's never traffic here, because 10 lanes on I-90 in, like, central New York, yeah. So what is the point here? It's literally four-way concurrent. It's just absolutely insane. There's no need for this to be numbered as a spur at 90. Leaving Utica going back to 90 more the same. There's just way too much going on up there. You could walk the distance of 790 in under an hour easily. I mean, don't do that. It is a highway, but just say put it into perspective that way. Easily walkable in under an hour. That should be no characteristic of an interstate. Alright, back to the map. Yeah, easy solution right here. It is already New York 5 the entire way. That's all it should be. The 790 designation is an exit ramp. New York 5 goes across a large portion of upstate New York. So yeah, this is much better. This is probably the easiest solution of them all, because it is already New York 5. And moving to our last visit on I-90, our old friend Schenectady. Schenectady, of course, if you'll recall, has three highways going on, which we are only really concerned with 90 and 890. They form a beltway around Rotterdam rather than Schenectady, which is the smaller counterpart, where Scotia and Schenectady and the airport fall outside of the beltway. The airport's pretty small. It's a regional airport, not really comparable to the airports of Buffalo, Rochester, or Syracuse. So the highway doesn't really need to directly go there. The county and state roads will get there just fine. But this here is a classic even digit loop to access some more urban areas. No problem there with 890 at all. We can just 88 can kick rocks. Alright. So, a summary of our 3DIs in New York. They are mostly in order, west to east, but 990 really is making me angry here. Another reason to get rid of it in Buffalo. So Buffalo has 1, 2, and 9. Rochester, 3, 4, and 590. Syracuse has 690. Utica has 790. And Schenectady has 890. And here's the summary of what changes I'm saying should be made. We can get rid of some now. And brings us to a much shorter list of I-90 auxiliary routes, spurs, and loops in New York, with now 4 available designations available for renumbering more appropriate highways elsewhere in New York State. Of course, if you change the number to a different one in Syracuse, 1 goes there, and our proposal for 86 and 88 to become 690, that would only leave a few, but that is still a better situation than what exists presently. So, I hope you learned something about the interstate numbering system, how short some spurs are, why that's a bad thing, I-90 in New York, or anything in between. What would you like to see done to improve sign clarity and sustain highway access in a city close to you? Drop your answers in the comments. I'll do a video on the most liked comment. As always, thank you for watching New Jersey Barrier, and have a good one.